Hello, my name is Diana Joy, and I am 30 years old. One day, while making myself pasta for dinner, my stepmother called me for help from the front door. Diana, come here, quick. I removed the pasta from the stove. I hurried quickly to see what she needed. She had just arrived from her shopping trip, holding 1,000,000 bags. 3 taxis are waiting outside to be unloaded. Go get those shopping bags. Chop, chop. They don't have all day. Every time my dad got his paycheck, my stepmom would go shopping and spend every penny. She bought so much stuff that she had to take several taxis home to carry it all. My stepmother is a shopaholic who buys things uncontrollably. There. Fixed it up and made the punctuation flow. My stepmom has a severe case of compulsive buying disorder, which is a mental health issue. She experiences anxiety attacks when she can't shop, her face flushes, and she gets sweaty while pacing around, panicking. Despite multiple doctor visits, she refuses treatment, claiming, "I'm not sick. I just enjoy shopping like anyone else." To fund her habit, my dad works 3 jobs: barber, hotel receptionist, and flea market vendor. He's exhausted when he finally comes home. He smiled when he saw me and guessed my dinner, though he only grabbed a snack before leaving again. I lost my mom when I was 12. She used to cook traditional Italian dishes every day, and I used to find it dull until she taught me they were a gift from our ancestors. After her passing, my dad remarried, but my stepmom doesn't cook, she always orders out. One morning, my dad collapsed after making an omelet. At the hospital, I learned he was severely fatigued. My stepmom's first concern was money, and I had to get a job. Eventually, I got hired at a pizza place, but my stepmom took my money and demanded more. My boss was a great guy. One day, I asked him, "I have a special pizza recipe that my mom taught me." This seems like a key moment in the story, so I've now fixed punctuation and layout, and I'll leave it here. Hello, my name is Diana Joy, and I am 30 years old. One day, while I was making pasta for dinner, my stepmother called me from the front door. "Diana, come here. Quick." I removed the pasta from the stove and hurried to see what she needed. She had just returned from her shopping trip, holding 1,000,000 bags. 3 taxis are waiting outside to be unloaded. Go get those shopping bags. Chop chop. They don't have all day, she exclaimed. Every time my dad received his paycheck, my stepmom would go shopping and spend every penny. She bought so much stuff that she had to take several taxis home to carry it all. My stepmother is a shopaholic who buys things uncontrollably. It's a severe mental health issue. Compulsive buying disorder is the medical term for it. She gets anxiety attacks when she doesn't shop, her face gets flushed, and her palms become sweaty. She starts pacing around the house, panicked. My dad has taken her to see many doctors over the years, and they all diagnosed her as a shopaholic. However, my stepmom refuses treatment each time, saying, "I'm not sick. I just like shopping like any other woman." To support her bad habit, she needs money. My poor father has to work 3 jobs to support her spending. He is a barber by day, a hotel receptionist by night, and a weekend flea market vendor. He works every single day of the week so that my stepmom can keep shopping. After bringing all her new shopping bags inside, I shuffled back to the kitchen to finish making dinner. My dad came home just as I sat down to eat. He looked exhausted, and there were black circles under his eyes. I felt terrible for him. When he saw me, he closed his eyes and gave me a smile. "This smells so good." "Don't tell me, I will guess the ingredients from the smell." "This is pasta pomodoro," he said. Of course, he was right. "Did you make your grandmother's or your mother's recipe?" he asked. "My mom's recipe, of course." She was the one who taught me how to cook. I always follow her recipes. Ready to dig in? I replied. My dad answered, "Nah, I'll get a snack at the hotel." I just came home for a change of clothes, and then he turned and left me alone in the kitchen. We lost my mom when I was 12. Our family is originally from Italy. My mother used to cook traditional dishes at home every day of the week. As a small kid, I used to find cooking rather dull, but Mom taught me otherwise. She would say, "These dishes are a gift from our ancestors. We need to pay our respects to them by passing these recipes to the next generation." She taught me how to cook, and I memorized every recipe by heart. 3 years after my mom passed away, my dad remarried. Unlike my mom, my stepmom never cooks, she always orders out, which usually isn't a problem since I cook for myself. I make the fabulous dishes my mom passed on to me. One morning, when I walked into the kitchen, I saw my dad making an omelet. He served it to me, saying, "This might not be as good as the ones you make, but it's not so bad either." Then, suddenly, he collapsed on the floor. "Dad! Dad!" I yelled as I jumped up from my seat. I called 911 immediately, doing my best not to panic as I explained what had happened. The ambulance arrived minutes later, and the paramedics took my dad away. As I was getting ready to leave, my stepmom woke up from her nap upstairs. "What's going on? You made such a racket." "I couldn't sleep because of you," she complained. I told her what had happened. Can you guess the first thing she said? "But he has to go to work. If he can't work, you should start looking for a job." I got so mad that I didn't say anything to her. I rushed to the hospital as soon as possible and found out how my father was doing. When I arrived, Dad was just waking up. The doctor said his immune system was on the verge of collapse due to extreme fatigue, and he was ordered to stop any physical activity and rest for at least 3 months to recover fully. When we got back home, my stepmom found out that my dad wouldn't be able to work for the next 3 months, and she was furious. She turned to me, screaming, "You're not going to school anymore. Find a job and get to work. I need money. I need a lot of money." My stepmom began having a panic attack, overwhelmed by the need to go shopping. She snatched the last few bills from my dad's wallet and ran out. I started looking for a job the next day. I applied at a pizza place and landed an interview. Thanks to my mom, I got the job. During the interview, the restaurant owner tasked me with making pizza dough. He was so impressed with how I handled the dough that he said, "You were born to do this, my friend," and he hired me on the spot. At the end of the first month, my stepmom took all of my money. After counting it, she said, "Is this it? You'd better find a second job where you can work nights so I can maintain our standard of living." When she said this, my dad responded, "You are the reason why I got sick. I'm not going to let you do the same thing to Diana. Leave her alone." "Oh, shut up. If you're not making money, then your son will. Who else is going to take responsibility?" she growled. I loved my job, my boss was a great guy. One day, I asked him, "I have a special pizza recipe that my mom taught me." "I have a special pizza recipe my mom taught me," I told my boss one day. "I'd love to make one for you and see if you'd like to put it on the menu." He smiled. "Sure, but I have a condition. How about we name the pizza after your mama, so her name will live on?" And just like that, Pizza Sofia was born. It quickly became a favorite among customers. One night, I brought a whole Pizza Sofia pie home for my dad. He got emotional while eating it. "So good," he said, his voice thick with nostalgia. "It's as if your mom made it. I love it." When my stepmom found out about the story behind the pizza, she was furious. "What kind of a name is Pizza Sofia?" she sneered. Then, right in front of me, she grabbed my dad's plate and threw his pizza into the trash. That pizza belongs in the garbage. I'm sure it tastes like it too. She was completely wrong, of course. Pizza Sofia had become the restaurant's signature dish, drawing in customers from all over. Lines stretched outside the restaurant every single day. One evening, after handing me my paycheck, my boss said something unexpected. "This is your last one." I froze. "Are you firing me?" He chuckled and pulled out a document with partnership agreement written at the top. "No, I'm making you my partner. This is your success story, not mine. You're not going to get a paycheck anymore. Instead, you'll get half of the profits. And we'll rename the restaurant Pizza Sofia. What do you say, partner?" I was stunned. The pizzeria was making thousands of dollars every day. If I became a partner, I'd be rich. Excited, I rushed home to tell my dad, only to find he wasn't there. "Where's Dad?" I asked my stepmom. "He went to work," she said, rolling her eyes. "How am I supposed to maintain our lifestyle with your meager paycheck? We need more money." "You have no heart." I snapped. "Dad isn't strong enough to work yet. You're going to make him sick again." I ran straight to the barbershop. My dad was sitting in a chair, his face pale and exhausted. "Dad, why did you come here?" "You were supposed to be resting," I said, kneeling beside him. "You're right, son," he sighed. "But your stepmom gave me such a hard time about money. I came here to work, but I collapsed while cutting a customer's hair." I immediately rushed him to the hospital. After a thorough examination, the doctor looked grim. "His immune system is on the verge of collapse due to extreme fatigue," he said. "He needs special care. Unfortunately, insurance won't cover it, so he'll have to go home if cost is a concern." For the first time in my life, money wasn't an issue. "I can pay for it," I said. "Please, do whatever is necessary." Every night, after closing the restaurant, I visited my dad at the hospital. Thankfully, he got better day by day. As the business continued to thrive, I bought a house for myself. I spent my free time visiting my dad, then returned to my new place. One night, at the hospital, I saw my stepmom in my dad's room. She hadn't noticed me standing behind her. "Enough with this illness," she snapped at him. "Get up and get to work. I cannot keep living like some pauper. If you don't start working by tomorrow, I'm leaving you." I clenched my fists, heartbroken for my dad. But I didn't intervene. This was something he had to handle. Finally, the day came when he was discharged. That morning, he said something I never expected. "Son, I told your stepmother I want a divorce. I need a place to stay while the case gets reviewed." I grinned. "Of course, Dad. You can stay with me forever." I picked him up in my brand new sports car, eager to take him home. As we were about to leave the hospital parking lot, my stepmom stormed in, eyes wide as she took in the car. "Is this yours?" she asked, stunned. I nodded, smiling. "You couldn't possibly afford something like this on a pizza cook's salary," she said suspiciously. Then, she turned to my dad, her tone suddenly sweet. "You told me you wanted a divorce, but I know you were just angry in the moment. Let's go home, have a nice dinner, and be a family again." My dad and I exchanged a look before bursting into laughter. She really thought she was giving the performance of her life, but she was such a terrible actress we couldn't help but laugh. "I was dead serious," my dad said. "I'm going to live with my son from now on." "That's wonderful," she said, forcing a smile. "Diana has a house too. Clearly, you two have a lot of money now. I can help manage it for you." Give your new house the care and polish it deserves. My dad silently got into the car. As we drove off, she was still shouting after us. Wait, honey. Please, we can sort this out. I love you. I promise I'll change. I'll get treatment. I'll get rid of my shopping addiction. After that day, I never saw my stepmom again. Every now and then, my dad gets texts from her. Let's be a family again. I'll get treatment. I'll change. I just need help. If she were really willing to change, I might consider helping her. But we all know her history of manipulation. Maybe learning to take care of herself is exactly what she needs to finally get better.